It's Reality Check with Craig Price.
I'm an idiot.
4 minutes in and I'm already wrong.
I'm like a monkey. Hello, look at me.
Craig, shut up.
Hey, I need you guys to do these things.
You're like a beautiful mind. I'm more like Forrest Gump.
So, welcome to Reality Check with Craig Price. As always, I am Craig Price. This week, David Newman is back to talk about his new marketing book, Do It Marketing. I hope things are going well with you. Today, we're diving back into the marketing pool with David Newman. It only took 87 episodes, but the ban has been lifted, and David is back on the podcast. He has a new book, Do It! Exclamation point marketing. I like to put the exclamation point. It's Do It! 77 instant action items to boost sales, maximize profits, and crush your competition. Now, we're not going to get to all 77 ideas today, but we're certainly going to cover a lot of marketing ground. David also has a podcast called, what else? Do It! Exclamation point. Marketing with David Newman. He's going to hate me for this exclamation point stuff, but I like to say, Do It! Exclamation point. And I will be a guest on that show in the next few weeks, I believe, so I'm not sure the exact date, but it's in the can, waiting to go. You can check that out on iTunes, and while you're over on iTunes, feel free to go to this podcast page and leave a review or a 5-star rating. I would really appreciate it. It would be great. But you know what would even be better? The 100th episode is just around the corner, and if you call 281-668-8948 and leave a simple voicemail like your name, where you are, and a simple congrats on 100 or anything you like to say, I would love it. The best ones will be part of the 100th episode, because without you, the listeners, there would be no podcast. It would just be me talking into the night. I want to include you in the milestone, so I hope you take some time to call. It would really appreciate it. Well, let's see. We'll wrap up all the marketing with like us on Facebook, follow at Reality Check Pod on Twitter, and subscribe to the newsletter at realitycheckpodcast.com. But enough of our blatant marketing. Let's do it! Marketing with David Newman. So you've got a new book out on marketing, and there's like 900 books on marketing. So let me get real Charlie Rose on you and get right to the hard-hitting question. Why your book now?
Pretty cover design. That's it. Pretty cover design. It's got a great cover. It has a great front cover. It's got a great back cover, too.
So you're going on the pure impulse buy market.
This is like the gum that's at the front of the store at the cash register. Go, hey, it looks like a new flavor. Let's get this. So here's my answer, because you're absolutely right. There's a bazillion. There's not 100, there's not 1,000. There's a bazillion marketing books. This is one of the few marketing books that is really about sales-driven marketing. I know a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, even some executives hate the word sales. So there's an entire section in the book, Craig, called the S word. And, of course, the S word is the word that we all hate, which is sales and selling. But really, the entire book is focused on marketing, strategies, tactics, and tools that drive sales. Not marketing for the sake of marketing, not marketing for the sake of branding. I hate the word branding. I think branding is a whole bunch of smoke, mirrors, and BS. It's not marketing for like logos and pretty colors. It's marketing to make the cash register ring. That's what makes the book different.
And just so you know, that voice may be familiar to some of my early listeners from episode 5. Yes, 85 plus episodes ago. David Newman is here. He's back on the podcast. I'm allowing you back after your long hiatus away. Your new book, Do It Marketing, 77 Instant Action Ideas to Boost Sales, Maximize Profits, and Crush Your Competition. It's available on Amazon.com in both hard copy and Kindle. And
Indeed.
From what I understand, you have an audio version as well?
Yes, audible.com. There is an audiobook version that's going to be available. I'm not sure if it coincides with the actual release of the book or if it's a couple weeks later, but look for it at your favorite audio bookstore, whether it's, it should be on all the audio things. It's audible.com. It should be on iTunes. It should be anywhere fine audio books are sold.
So and I saw that you were posting. We're Facebook friends, and so and friends in real life. But I see pictures of you when you were in the studio getting that taken care of, and it looked kind of like a really cool process getting that audiobook put out. Now
it was a lot of fun.
Now, when you wrote the book, since you're focusing a lot from a sales perspective. One of the things I saw is, why are you getting referred to losers?
Yes.
So why are people getting a lot of referrals? Because a lot of referrals are just a name with maybe this guy will think you're okay. Here, try this guy. It's just kind of like almost a hit and miss kind of situation. The person who gives you the referral isn't really thinking it through. They just...
Well, absolutely. Well, and there's two sides to that equation. Like any relationship, and, the relationship marketing, relationship selling, referrals are based on a relationship. It happens to be a three-way relationship between you and your referral source and the referee. Here's the problem. No one's talking about it clearly, about what makes a great referral. No one is teeing you up above and beyond, hey, here's this guy, here's this card, here's his name, here's his email, you should look him up. That I call sort of like a handoff. That's not even a referral. That's a handoff. I think, if you and I were talking, and let's say that you weren't Craig Price. Let's say you were some guy, you were some meeting planner, some association person, and I had just finished doing an awesome program for you, and the topic of next year's speaker comes up. I could refer you one of two ways, Craig. I could say, well, there's this guy, Craig Price. You should go to speakercraigprice.com. He's a great guy. Bye, thanks. I'll take my check. See you later. I'm getting on the plane. That's not a referral. That's a handoff. If I say, let me sit down with my client, with this person who knows me and likes me and trusts me, and say, before I leave, I want to make sure that I connect you with my friend Craig Price. Now, Craig is a professional speaker who talks about the reality of relationships. He's not an optimist. He's not a pessimist. He has this fabulous book called The Realist's Guide. Here it is on Amazon. Let me tell you 3 or 4 things about why Craig should be next year's keynote speaker. Let me also send a 3-way email to introduce you and Craig so that you two can jump on the phone and explore whether or not you're a fit. And then let me also tell Craig about this conversation so that he's expecting your call. Now, before we end this conversation, let me ask you, if Craig decides this is something that he'd like to pursue with you, would you be willing to take his call? So when he emails you, he leaves you a phone message, will you take his call as a personal favor to me? That's the script for a referral. That is setting you up, teeing you up, guaranteeing that you are going to have a solid connection. Now, above and beyond that, it's, of course, all on you. But my job as the referral person there is to set you up for success, is to tee you up to have the conversation, and it's to double check with my client or my prospect or the person that I think you should meet, double check with them, hey, if Craig calls you, will you be wonderful enough to take his call? Will you return his message? Will you reply to that email? And you have to ask that bravely and explicitly. That is someone putting their reputation on the line for you. That's what a referral is. Anything else is a handoff or a name or a good luck, Hail Mary kind of thing. So I'm a huge believer in that kind of referral, and that's how it needs to work.
And that handoff is the embodiment of literally, this is the least I could do. This just
totally.
Give you a name.
Oh my gosh, totally.
It's kind of like dating. You have a friend who likes Star Trek, and so you have another friend who likes Star Trek, and they're of the opposite sex, and you say, well, these two must get together. We have no other
right.
context involved. Here is my African-American friend. Here is the only other African-American person I know. These two need to meet. Here is my gay friend. Here is my other gay friend. These two have to meet without any context. And it's really just kind of, it's just literally the least anyone can possibly do is just give a name and walk off. And that happens quite a bit. So can we train our friends and our colleagues to do this correctly?
We totally can. And so, people wouldn't even have to buy the Do It Marketing book to get this next thing that I'm going to share.
Don't say that.
Okay, people have to buy the book. They have to buy the book, and the book is going to have the secret code so that you can go onto Google and then Google the following term. Google the term referral blurb. Blurb is spelled B-L-U-R-B. If you Google referral blurb, you will find my blog post, which also happens to be in the book, but you can get it online for free. A referral blurb is that training tool that you're talking about. So, for example, I have a friend here in the Philadelphia area who's a management trainer. He does all kinds of like management training classes for companies and things like that. He and I met years and years ago, and he told me what he does. He told me who he wants to be introduced to, and his name is Eric. And I said, Eric, I'd be glad to help you out. In fact, I've got a couple people that I can send an email to. He says, no, I'll send you the email. And I said, what? He says, I'll send you the email that you should send to your two people. And I said, what are you talking about? You have this email pre-written? He says, yes, I do. It's my referral blurb. And so he sent me his referral blurb. I was so impressed, I immediately asked him two things. I said, number one, can I blog about this and give you credit? He said, yes. Number two, as a marketing guy, is it okay with you if I try and improve it and templatize it so that all different kinds of people in all different kinds of businesses can use this referral blurb and use the model that I create in this blog article? He said yes to that too. So I wrote this blog called, How to Write Your Referral Blurb, and I put in Eric's example, I put in my improved example, I put in a template so that any business can use it. And then because, Craig, you and I are both professional speakers, and we know a lot of professional speakers, I also put in a fourth one in that same blog post that's a speaker-specific referral blurb that people can modify and adapt as well. So you totally need to train people. And then the other thing that's in that section of the book called Why You're Being Referred to Losers is when you get referred to losers, there's no feedback loop. So if you get referred to someone that has no budget, no need, wrong fit, wrong situation, they're totally barking up the wrong tree, we typically are not brave enough or smart enough to go back to that referral source and say, I had a conversation with Jane. Thank you so much for thinking of me and referring me. We weren't a fit because, and then you lay out why specifically you and Jane were not a fit to do business together or to explore a business relationship. And then you say, next time, Jane was perfect, only in addition, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. So you're fine-tuning that portrait of the ideal referral. And you're using the referrals that you're getting that don't work out, that are a total train wreck or just don't, not a good fit on any level. You're going back to your referral source and you're teaching them and training them why this one wasn't great and what they should look for next time that's different. And if you start doing that, again, that's a difficult conversation because you don't want to criticize. You don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. You don't want to upset your referral source because, maybe they'll never refer me again. Well, if they keep referring you to low-quality goofball losers, you don't want more low-quality goofball losers as referrals. You want great people as referrals. And so you have to teach and train the people who know you and love you, and those influencers and those referral sources, teach and train them. What's a good referral and what isn't, and the best way to do that is through experience.
So we're probably giving referrals the wrong way. We're certainly probably getting referrals the wrong way. But it kind of leads into a full situation of we're doing a whole bunch of marketing techniques that, A, doesn't work for us, so why are we doing? I noticed in the book that you talk about, you need to stop doing what you think works because you're doing things that even you wouldn't respond to. Like you were talking about, would you give your credit card number to someone who called you on the phone during dinner to solicit? And of course not. But yet,
right,
people are doing that same thing. So how can we get out of these bad habits of, we need to mass market, we need to send out emails, which we don't respond to when people email us, so why would someone respond to our emails? How do we get out of that bad habit of doing techniques that we ourselves would never respond to?
Well, I think there's a couple of components to that. Number one is you obviously need to take off your hat as a marketer, take off your hat as a salesperson or what you think is a marketer, what you think is a salesperson, and put on your hat of a human being. And, figure out, how do you respond to incoming marketing messages, sales messages, solicitations, offers? How do you respond on LinkedIn? How do you respond to emails? How do you respond to the way people present their ideas in articles or in blogs? And once you say, well, gosh, I would never respond to this kind of approach, I would much more respond to that kind of approach. Start to adopt those things as a person, because we have to start selling the way that we buy. And this is what I'm pointing out in that section of the book that you're talking about, is that our buying behavior is so radically different from our selling and our marketing behavior. It's like, well, you would never respond to that, but why? So why are you putting that out there? And then the second half of this is equally important. Many times we, as salespeople, marketers, entrepreneurs, executives, we are not the same as our buyers. So even though I'm saying use yourself as a barometer of what kinds of things you would respond to, understand at the same time that you are not your buyer. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're an independent professional, maybe you're an HR consultant or an IT consultant, but your buyer is the chief information officer at some big financial institution, right? You are not him. He is not you. So you need to become a student of how does that kind of buyer buy? How does that kind of buyer respond to input? How does that kind of buyer consume information? So do you want to, for example, send them a white paper? Do you want to invite them to your blog? Do you want to connect to them on LinkedIn? Well, I don't know. Does this kind of person read blogs? Is this kind of person active on LinkedIn? Is this kind of person active on Facebook over LinkedIn? Right? So people will say, well, I'm trying to sell to corporate Fortune 500 executives, and I'm spending all this time building my community on Facebook, and it's not working. And I said, well, yeah, guess what, guy? Corporate executives hardly spend any time at all on Facebook in your particular industry, in your particular niche, right? So for you, that's a terrible idea. For you, you want to be all about LinkedIn, all about white papers, all about surveys and research, because that's what these guys consume. That's what they respect. That's what they pass around to each other. That's what they respond to. So you have to be an expert in your buyer's buying process.
Do you think a lot of people do these kind of what I call stale and usual tactics, not unusual, usual tactics, because of just the fear that because most people aren't marketers. That's part of their business, and that's something they need to do, but their expertise is not marketing. You think they're just afraid to do the new things, or because everyone keeps telling them, oh, you need to be on Facebook, you need to be doing this particular thing, and it's like, well, if I don't do this, I might be doing it wrong, because they don't have a marketing background.
Absolutely. And you put your finger on it. People say, oh, you have to be on Twitter. You have to blog every single day. You have to have articles in trade association magazines and industry publications. Well, the bottom line truth is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be successful. You don't have to have a business. You don't have to breathe if you don't want to, right? There's nothing that you have to do. And so I think you need to figure out, based on what your buyers, what are their headaches, heartaches, challenges, and gaps. Where do they look for answers, solutions, advice, insights, recommendations? And then you have to position yourself. You have to move off of where you are, and you have to position yourself in the crosshairs of where these folks are already seeking. They're seeking solutions. They're seeking answers. So the thing that I say in some of my marketing seminars is there someone right now who is Googling a problem that you are brilliantly positioned to solve? And then the two follow-up questions are, when they do Google that very specific kind of problem, pain, challenge, heartache, headache, number one, is your website coming up? Is your YouTube account coming up? Is your blog coming up? Is your LinkedIn profile coming up? when they search for that? And then number two, how could you make some changes so that it does? So if you're, an HR expert, an IT expert, a motivational speaker, a sales consultant, an HR software implementation guru, whatever you are you visible? Are you findable? And are you credible in all the places that it counts?
So how can we really prioritize and focus our efforts? There is so many different things we can be doing. There's so many things. You listed out 9 things that you could be doing online when you Google your name, between your blog, your website, all these other things. How can, if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure because you are an HR consultant, which means you do not have a sales background, but now you're on your own. So how can we focus and prioritize? What should we be doing first?
Well, I have good news, and I have great news. So the good news is you have a very limited menu of things, and then the great news is that you get to be choosy and selective even in that menu. So basically, there's only 10 marketing strategies on the planet. There's only 10. And, let me list them out very briefly, and then we're going to help you pick 2 or 3 that you're going to focus on and let everything else fall by the wayside. Not worry about it, not let it weigh you down. So there's 5 outbound strategies and there's 5 inbound marketing strategies. The 5 outbound strategies are, number 1, the phone, right? And I don't mean telemarketing, I don't mean batch and blast cold calling, I simply mean picking up the phone, calling someone, could be someone new, could be someone old, could be a client you've done a lot of business with, could be a referral, whatever it is, it's the phone. Number 2 is direct mail. Number 3 is some kind of advertising. Number 4 is trade shows and events. Number 5 is public relations. So those are the 5 outbound strategies. Every piece of outbound marketing, outbound sales outreach falls into one of those 5. And again, if you're taking notes, it's telemarketing, number 1. Number 2 is direct mail. Number 3 is advertising. Number 4 is trade shows and events. Number 5 is public relations, PR, publicity, etc.
And if you're lazy like me, you're not taking notes, you've bought the book.
That's right, exactly right. And then there's 5 inbound strategies to complete our 10. The 5 inbound strategies are public speaking as a revenue generator and or a lead generator. But mainly as a marketing activity, it's going to be a lead generator and not a profit center. Number 2 is publishing, everything from a short article to a white paper to a full-blown book on your expertise. Number 3 is internet marketing, which includes everything on the web, your website, search engine optimization, social media, all of that falls under internet marketing. Number 4 is referrals, referral marketing. And number 5 is personal networking. So again, that's 10. Now people say, oh my God, I'm already overwhelmed. I can't do all 10. I say, great. Pick 2 or 3 maximum. Let everything else fall away. So if you love writing, let's just kind of go down this path, Craig, for a quick second. If you love writing, then use writing strategies. If you love talking, then use talking strategies. So doing what we're doing, for example, right, an audio interview with your prospects, with your target market, that would be a great prospecting tool, and you would love it, and you would have fun, and you would look forward to it. So if you love speaking strategies, have a podcast, become a public speaker, and share your expertise with Rotary groups and chambers and targeted associations of your target market. Right? If you love video, then use video strategies. If you love in-person networking, then use networking strategies. But just pick 2 or 3. Don't pick 7. Don't pick all 10. Pick the 3 that you find easy, effortless, and enjoyable. Because at the end of the day, if they're not easy, effortless, and enjoyable, you're going to dread. You're going to dread your marketing and sales and business development activities. And obviously, like with any activity, any task that we dread, we don't do it. And we avoid it like crazy. And so if you have avoidance marketing instead of enjoyable marketing, you're painting yourself in a corner. You're not going to be successful. So the short answer is find marketing activities among those 10, find 2 or 3, that you personally find easy, effortless, and enjoyable, because those are the ones that you'll do, and those are the ones where you'll have success.
Well, before I let you go, there was one thing that jumped out at me when I was looking at the table of contents and I was perusing the book. And it was that following up is a waste of time, or at least that's how it came across. So when I hear that or I see that, salespeople tell me that you have to, and they call it touching. You've got to touch a touch point of 10 to 12 times with someone. That'd be following up. So tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, if I've misrepresented following up as a waste of time, and if I haven't, explain it.
Well, clearly, I think the chapter is called "Stop Following Up, Stop Wasting Your Time with Follow-Up." So that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
My point there, and so that is 1,000% true, and it does fly in the face of everyone says, "Oh, the fortune is in the follow-up," and it's 6 touches or 8 touches or 13 touches before someone's willing to buy. Here's the beauty of the inbound marketing model. Someone's read your blog. That's passive. You'll never know it, but it's a touch. Someone's listened to one of your podcasts. That's passive. You'll never know it, but it's a touch. Someone popped over to your website. That's passive. You'll never know it, but that's a touch. So at this point, for most people, at least most people in professional services, maybe it's not true in manufacturing or retail or some other kind of business where it's more transactional, but in the relationship kind of marketing area, service businesses, professional services, people usually now today enter your sales process at step 7 out of 10. So they've checked you out online. They've Googled you. They've read your website. They've checked out your articles. They've listened to your podcast. They've passed around your white paper. They know a little bit about your thought leadership platform. They're not coming in cold. So at that point, it should be a pretty straight line to a sale. In the book, I give the example of back when I was working in the technology sector, I sat next to a guy who was selling multi-million-dollar software deals. And he would call. His name was Dave, by coincidence, no relation to me. He's not my twin brother. And Dave would call up a chief information officer.
Hold on a second, David.
Yes.
Your parents, I don't believe your parents would be stupid enough to have twins and name them both David.
You never know. You never know. But even though this guy has the first name, same as I do, there's no relation. Just want to be clear, this is not a plug for the software company. So he would call up a chief information officer, and he would say, "Hi, my name is Dave. I'm calling from PeopleSoft." That was the company that we both worked for. "And I'm calling to see if new ERP software is part of your strategic initiatives for this year." That was it. It was one question. If the guy says yes, there's one branch of that conversation. If the guy says no, Dave would say, "Terrific, thanks, see you next time," hang up the phone, move on to the next guy. Because if they're considering it, they were a prospect. If they were not considering it, they were not a prospect. And here's the rub. If they're not considering it, there is no amount of follow-up that will change their mind. You could follow up 100 times. You could follow up by phone, email, fax, carrier pigeon. The guy just said, "I'm not in the market. I'm not a buyer. I'm out." If they are a buyer, then there's a different path to the sales process, right? We qualify, we disqualify, we go in, we have an initial meeting. If there's interest, we go to the next step, and we're always looking at the stages and the levels of that sales process. If the sales process stops moving forward, it's usually not the prospect's fault. It's usually your fault that you didn't investigate or qualify or disqualify fast enough, soon enough, etc. So here's what I want to replace everyone's mindset with. Instead of saying sales and selling, because some of these words I know make some people's stomach turn, sales, selling, prospecting, qualifying, disqualifying, forget all of that. 4 new words: offer value, invite engagement. That's it. That is your entire business development game plan. Offer value, invite engagement, and you will market smarter, and you will sell more, and you will be more successful.
The book is Do It Marketing, 77 Instant Action Ideas to Boost Sales, Maximize Profits, and Crush Your Competition. The man is David Newman. Where can people find you, David? Because I have used your services and I can vouch for you. You are a man who actually does what he says he's going to do, and it was very helpful. So where can someone find you if they want to hire you for your expertise?
Well, there's a couple things they can do even before they do that. They can go to doitmarketing.com, and they can look at the blog that's up there. The blog has a ton of resources, advice, templates, articles. It's doitmarketing.com/blog. If they want to invest 11 or 12 bucks and take some of these strategies home, they can go to doitmarketing.com/book. And that is where all the book bonuses and book goodies are. And you also get a pretty good little book that can help you do better with sales and marketing and business development. So those are the two resources I recommend. The blog at doitmarketing.com, and of course the book at doitmarketing.com/book.
And no matter what, you'll get a book with a beautiful cover.
Indeed.
David, I appreciate you being on the show.
Craig, you're a rock star. I appreciate you.
That's our show for this week. I'd like to apologize to David for constantly yelling, "Do it!" in the intro. I'll be sure to have him back in another 87 episodes. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, sign up for the newsletter for reminders and secret information at realitycheckpodcast.com, as well as listening to us on Stitcher.com. That's it for now. See you next week.